Connection, where we delve into the stories and journeys of extraordinary individuals. I'm your host, Joanna, and today we have the privilege of sitting down with the remarkable Wendy. Wendy's journey is filled with resilience, creativity, and profound passion for life. Formerly a dedicated special education teacher and nurturing young yoga instructor, Wendy's path looks to be Wendy's path took an unexpected turn when she was diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis, amongst other two other conditions, scoliosis and celiac disease. These challenges forced her to bid farewell to her beloved teaching career, leaving behind her role that she felt defined her in many ways. But Wendy's story does not end there. Instead of allowing these obstacles to define her, Wendy embraced her new reality, and with courage and determination. She discovered a new outlet for her creativity and expression through writing, penning her thoughts, emotions, and experiences. Today we will be diving into Wendy's latest literary endeavor, her book, Kiss You Love Goodbye. A book, a beautiful collection of poems and other a beautiful collection of poems that offer a glimpse into her soul and the depths of her experiences. Through her words, Wendy invites us to explore the themes of love, loss, and resilience and beauty found in life's most unexpected moments. Join us as we uncover Wendy's journey from teacher to author, from adversity to empowerment. Her story is one of inspiration and hope, reminding us all of that even in the face of life's greatest challenges, there's always an opportunity for growth, creativity, and connection. Without further ado, let's welcome Wendy to our connection.
Thank you. That was beautiful, Joanna. Thank you.
Thanks. So can you tell us, can you share with us your journey from being a special education teacher to yoga instructor to becoming an author? How did your health condition influence your transition?
So I have scoliosis, something obviously I've been dealing with since I was a kid. And as I got older, it got worse. And so I'd had way too many cortisone shots in my spine and my hips, and so many rounds of physical therapy. And then finally, one of the last rounds of physical therapy, I've had physical therapy for my neck, my back, my hips, everything. And when I went to my last round of physical therapy, it wasn't towards the end of those 2 years of going through multiple rounds of physical therapy, I was recommended to a physiotherapist, and she told me, I don't want you to do anything but yoga. That's it. I don't want you to do anything but yoga. You need it. And so I had already always kind of practiced yoga, like gym yoga, like more as like, oh, I'll just, because I've always been an active person, but more like, oh, I'll do some yoga today for stretching or whatever. And so I ended up going and joining a yoga studio, and I could not believe the difference in my body once I started doing yoga on a more consistent basis. And so that actually led me to get my yoga teacher certification, because I wanted to understand, for me, not even to become a yoga teacher, but just take the yoga teacher training, because I wanted to understand what about this is finally helping me. What is it about yoga? And I was going from it into with an anatomy standpoint. I wanted to understand, the skeletal structure and how the spine works and how the different postures, and just to improve my quality of life and movement, mobility. And through the course of that, I fell in love with the practice. I found so much more in it than just the physical postures and stuff. It really brought me so much inner peace. So it was like physical, mental, spiritual. It just really filled that for me. And I've been teaching, I think, around 6 or 7 years, and my body tells me when, like, if I'm not practicing, like, I know I need to practice today because my back is killing me. So if I could just do a few rounds of cat-cow, I know it's going to help stretch out my spine, and it's going to create space in the back of my neck. So that's what led me to yoga. And then psoriatic arthritis runs in my family. My grandmother had it, my father has it. And my rheumatologist, when I was first, the signs were there. I had the symptoms, as we all ignore ourselves when things come up. And we're just like, oh, it's just stress. Oh, I've had psoriasis in my nails for years. And I was like, oh, it's just a bad pedicure, and maybe I'm allergic to the nail polish that I'm using, and maybe I need to take a break and let my nails, recover from all these pedicures through the summer. It never went away. It just never went away. And so there were signs there that I just chose to ignore. A lot of the arthritis, especially in my neck, I also attributed to my scoliosis. My gait's off. Oh, I'm not, because I'm crooked, I'm not sitting right. And I'm always down on the floor with my students and then standing up, and I'd have trouble getting off the floor. And I tell my students, help the old lady off the floor, help Mrs. Howler off the floor, not realizing what was truly going on. And, but then when I started to get really bad, because I started to have migraines from all the arthritis in my neck.
Yeah.
The migraines, and then I have uveitis, so I have issues with it. I'm inflamed everywhere. I'm inflamed everywhere, but I have inflammation in my eyes, and so that wasn't helping with the migraines either. So I ended up going to a rheumatologist, and the rheumatologist, I had COVID twice during this whole, pandemic, and she said to her that there's no doubt in her mind that having COVID accelerated the psoriatic arthritis coming on as quickly or as severely as it did after my second round of COVID, especially since my father and my grandmother both suffered from it. So just interesting. And so now I was home. I got taken out because I'm immune compromised with all the medication that I take, that instead of being on intermittent FMLA, I was pulled out of work for full medical leave. And then it was last January. And then it was like, well, what am I going to do with myself? I had, as we all do, anybody with a chronic illness, we have those moments of sadness, or everybody does. We have those moments of sadness. My body doesn't do what it once did. I'm not the person, not able to do what I was able to do yesterday. Like, you never know. You never know what you're going to wake up with, especially weather is such a predictor for me. on my inflammation, and we're still in the trial and error of finding the um, right medication combination that's going to slow the progression of the disease down. I'm on my fourth biologic now, and I still take methotrexate and other things on top of that. But anyway, so I had like January, the whole month, I was very sad and just kind of felt like, I'd been a teacher for 19 years. Then it was like, well, what do I do? Like, I need purpose. I'm so used to being on a school calendar year that, January 2nd, everybody went back to school after the holiday break, and I didn't. Mm-hmm. So it was like, okay, I can be sad or I can find purpose to my day. So that's kind of how the writing, and I've always been a writer. My major in college was journalism. My master's was in early childhood special education. And so I'm kind of using my degrees backwards. But
it's interesting how so many rare disease patients go into special education.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. There's just,
education in the period.
Yeah, exactly. And so I had always been a writer. I'd always written, especially poetry, but it was more for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so within the last year, I found a new pathway, I guess. And this is something that I can do, as far as I'm home. It gives me a purpose to my day. Get up and do all the little household things, but then I can sit and I can write or I can research. Like today, after we get off our talk today, I'll be working on my timeline for my next novel. I've already done all the research and I've plotted most of it out, but I'm writing about a gentleman with a traumatic brain injury. So I have to make sure I get the oncoming symptoms correct in timeline order. So that's, but then we can also, as everyone knows with these kind of illnesses, have grace with ourselves. If we wake up and we just feel like, I can't get out of bed today,
mm-hmm.
So it's been good. And so I published my first poetry book last May, and then I have published 2 children's books, and my first novel will be out in June.
Oh.
Yeah.
So what's the most challenging thing since you've left your teaching?
I miss my kids. I don't miss the paperwork. I don't miss the paperwork. But I miss my kids. I miss my coworkers. Luckily for me, teaching yoga classes, I teach a few yoga classes throughout the week, and that fills that like teaching aspect, being a teacher. But yeah, I miss my kids a lot. So that's something that I don't know. I still come to terms with, especially if I see any of my former students out and about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you do still see them sometimes?
Yeah, I actually am living now in the town that I was teaching in, so occasionally I'll run into students here and there out and about. I actually was at Chipotle, and I ran into one of my former students who works there that I had in my class, I don't know, 12 years ago, and he still remembered me, which was so sweet.
Yeah. Your latest book, Kiss You Love Goodbye, a collection of poems. What inspired you to write about? What inspired you to write poetry?
Poetry has always been an outlet for me. Some people keep good diaries. Poetry, it was always my outlet. And when my son went off to college, but that was for me. It was a private thing for myself. And when my son went off to college, not this past fall, the fall before that, he goes to school in New York City. He had said to me, Mom, I want you to write, and I want you to write every day while I'm gone. Promise me you'll write. Because it's something I've shared with my immediate family, but no one else. And so when I went out on medical leave and I got over my sadness, kind of, got over being sad and not going back to work, I finally decided to fulfill my promise to my son, and I went and I got all my poetry from college, my poetry off my notes app, from my thumb drive, from my computer, all the many journal books that I'd had that had a cute little saying or picture on that I purchased on a whim and filled with like 3 things, and then I would buy a new one. So I kind of gathered them all together and put them in one Google Doc and printed them out. And as I read through them, I realized, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is like my memoir, because they were poems from my teenage years up till I turned 50. Mm-hmm. So it really is. So the poems in the book are really that journey of who am I? Where do I belong in this world? When you're 18, it's like you graduate and it's like, okay, now go into the real world and figure it out, And then now that I'm 50, you get to a point in your life where you're like, this is me, this is who I am, and you get comfortable in your own skin. Mm-hmm. So that's what this book is. It's all of those moments of growth in that transition from teen years to adulthood, and finding, even now, just it's all about evolving. We evolve into many different versions of ourselves, and even the version I am right now that I'm happy with may evolve or will continue to evolve, especially as I'm entering into being an author. There's still so much to learn.
Yeah. So, let's see. So how do you believe that your experiences with your medical conditions, your psoriatic arthritis, your celiac disease, and your scoliosis, how have they shaped your perspective on life and creativity?
The perspective on life, I can tell you a story that really solidified it for me. I was in the grocery store and I couldn't reach something. I'm short, but I couldn't reach something on a higher shelf because I was in so much pain. And this is going back before my psoriatic arthritis. This was just from my scoliosis, and I was just in so much pain. And a neighbor of mine happened to be in the grocery store at the same time, and she was probably like 30 or 40 years older than me. And she stopped to say hi. She's probably only about 3 inches taller than me too. And I'm standing there with my carriage, contemplating how I'm going to get this item off the shelf. Like, do I climb this? Like, how do I reach up when I can't reach? And she came over and I told her, and she's like, oh, I'll get it for you. Don't worry about it. She reached up and she handed it to me. And she said, you'll never appreciate being healthy until you've been unhealthy. And I was like, that's exactly what it is. It is. Like, I just appreciate, I guess, life more. I know that sounds cliche, but I appreciate moments when I'm not in pain so much more. And I know that I can push through because there have been so many moments from, dealing with the scoliosis my whole life. And then when I got diagnosed with celiac and having to change my diet, we can always adapt. There's always a way to adapt to preserve the quality of your life. And as far as my writing and the creativity of it, I feel like once I finished my poetry book and realized that I could still have a purpose in my days, it kind of just opened a floodgate. And now, now the characters don't stop talking to me.
Yeah, it's like, how do you get by writer's block?
I walk the dog and I love singer-songwriters. I'll listen to music, but I'm a huge procrastinator. I was in college too until the deadline. So that for me, I have to do that. Like I participate in something called NaNoWriMo. It's National Novel Writing Month,
Mm-hmm.
which was in November. So I did my first draft of my novel, The Flanagan Girls, in November. April 1st starts the next challenge. So I will do the first draft of that. So I'm good with deadlines.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of helps with the writer's block because I know the deadline is coming and I'm like, okay, all right, I've put things off enough. It's time to because it's all in my head. It's just getting it out.
I mean, is there ever a time where you can't think of something to write, and like, what do you do?
I haven't had that issue yet. I'll let you know though. Right now I have like many stories in my head. I keep telling my friends I feel like a schizophrenic. There are all these voices in my head. But I think it's because I always wanted to be a writer or an author. Like I always wrote, but I wanted to be an author but didn't have the confidence in myself to do it. So the stories have been building up for so many years. I mean, I have like a stack of like things that I started in college or after or whatever. And I mean, my first children's book was a book that I wrote in college and I modernized for now. And I wrote it like at 3:30 a.m. on my notes app in my phone because I don't sleep, and then transferred it. But that originally wasn't something that I came up with in college, that I never did anything with. And here I am, oh gosh, 36 years later from when I graduated, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so so far, I still have ideas flowing.
So, let's see. In your book, you explore the themes of love, loss, and resilience. Can you share your with us some of your emotions and some of the emotions and experiences that inspired these poems?
What inspired them is either experience that I had myself or ones that I witnessed or shared with loved ones or friends. There are two poems in the book. I have it in front of me. One is called A Mother's Pain. It's about a mother whose child is born stillborn.
Mm-hmm.
And that I did not have that. It was someone I know that experienced that. And the poem next to it is called Loss. And it's about the friend, sitting with morning coffee, cell phone in hand, I cried for you, like who's wants to comfort their friend and can't. So it's really writing. I write from my experiences as an outlet for myself. To get those emotions out. There's poems in here, like, when you have friends that you're good friends with and then you just grow apart and like that friendship served you for that time and you appreciate that friendship, but now you've moved on to different places. And that just happens, with people. We grow apart. And so there's some poems in there about that. There's a poem in there about finding someone that you think is going to be your partner in life and realizing that is not who you're meant to be with. And then I have another one in there for my husband. I always wondered what your name would be. And so a lot of it are just based on my experiences in my life. And I wrote one about my disease, and I was actually, for my 50th birthday, I'd always wanted to go on a yoga retreat. I had always wanted to go to Costa Rica. One of my yoga teachers was doing a yoga retreat in Costa Rica. So my 50th birthday gift to me was this yoga retreat. And it fell right during the time of my diagnosis. And there were things that I couldn't do, and I'm sitting in, in a beautiful chair in Costa Rica with ice on my knees, but I was there, and I was doing what I could during the yoga practice. And if it was too much, because they had multiple practices throughout the day, and I just couldn't do, one a day was good for me. And I just was walking on the beach one day, and it came to me like, I am not my disease.
Mm-hmm.
This does not have to define me. So I ended up writing a poem. I went right back to my room and wrote the poem about it. I am not my disease. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just always been that kind of outlet for me.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Let's see. Someone who has faced a significant health challenge, how do you maintain a sense of positivity and hope in your daily life?
Like I said, it's really about finding purpose, and I mean, we've all got challenges. Again, working in special education for 19 years, like, we all have challenges, and seeing so many of my students overcoming things, like my nonverbal students, I had talking or whatever. I had one little girl with autism. It took me, I had her for 2 years, and it took till the middle of the second year to teach her how to use a fork. And the pride in just being able to see her take the fork, and we practiced over and over again, but take the fork and put it into a half a grape and feed it to herself. I still have the little video clip that I took for Mom, because that was so precious to me. And I think that kind of resiliency is just inspiring. And so it's those moments that I carry with me, of so many things that I got to witness as a teacher with either my students or their parents, and just, even my own parents. I mean, my dad, he's had it, and oh gosh, his hands are so bad, but he'll still find those days to go fishing, because he wants to enjoy his retirement, So it's just making sure you don't fall into that deep, poor me.
Yeah.
The pity party.
Mm-hmm.
And find a purpose to each day.
Yeah. What advice would you would you give to others who may be struggling with chronic health conditions and facing unexpected life changes?
Again, have grace with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Just, if you feel sad, it's okay. Find a way, something that you're passionate about, or a way to pick yourself back up.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the big thing, is just, just honor where you are that day, and know that it's not going to last forever. Sometimes, we have better days than others, and just embrace the better days. I had 3 really good days, and they're so deceiving, because it's like, oh, maybe I turned a corner. Like, it's not going to come back, And then all of a sudden the rain comes in, and my knees are all swollen, my toes are swollen, and I'm like, oh, there you are. Get out the biofreeze, get out the dance, start. But it is just making the effort to find something that brings you joy.
Mm-hmm.
I had to stop teaching yoga after my diagnosis, to really just focus on my health. I stopped for about 6 months, and I realized I needed it so much. Even if I couldn't practice with my students, just being in the same room and guiding or directing the class, or however you want to say it, it just filled my heart, just sharing space with them, and that I needed that. So now I do 3 to 4 classes a week. So that's 3 to 4 hours in the whole week. It gets me out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
and I'm a homebody, so I don't mind being home, but you do need to get out of the house. And there was a long time that I was so tired, and I'm sure so many people can relate to this. I was so sick of going to a doctor's office. Like my days were filled with going to doctor's office or going to CVS to pick up medication. Like that was what my days were filled with. And I would wake up some days and I'd be like, I just can't do it anymore. I'm so tired of it. And then all the co-pays and just between the medication and the doctor visits, and every doctor we go to is a specialized doctor. So those co-pays are more expensive. And oh my gosh, I was so tired of it. And that can wear on you too. And especially when you have to go to new specialists and then you start the whole story again of how the symptoms came on, and you just get tired of your own voice and your own story.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to say this anymore. I just recently, my primary care physician left, the one that I've been with for like 13 years, left the practice. So I had to go to a new primary care physician. I'm like, but no, she knows everything. Like, how do I start fresh? It's just, you get tired of it. So even when I went back to teaching those few classes a week, it really fed my soul, just sharing space with my students and being in a community, your community, find a community. Even like I'm on, I don't know if you're on any of the Facebook groups.
I am on.
Yeah. So even that, just being able, because I'm on my 4th biologic, has anyone tried this one? And just reaching out or having people, you just say, hey, I'm having a bad day. And just the encouragement, because I love my family, but they don't know what we go through unless they're going through. Like, that was one thing that when this all started, for me to really take me down.
Mm-hmm.
I remember having a conversation with my father, and he was just asking me questions. How do you feel this and that and whatnot? And I'm having this conversation and I'm looking at him like, oh my goodness, he feels seen. Mm-hmm. Because I understand what he's going through now. Like, I remember decades ago when this was really starting to develop in him, he'd have all of these supplements and all this. And I'm like, Dad, come on. You don't really need all this. You got, and now I'm the one taking all the medication and the supplements. And I'm like, yeah, you do. You do. Because they all serve a purpose in helping. But I get it now. Like, us being able to share and what we're going through, he feels seen, which is nice to be able to honor where he's at. But those Facebook groups, it's a community, and there's a community of people that understand what you're going through.
Yeah.
And I was floored when I actually started to post more about what was going on with me on my Facebook and on my Instagram. I was floored by how many people I know that they might have psoriatic arthritis, not as severe as I have it, but they relate, or just people, that I know in my community locally. I'm like, oh my gosh, so many of these chronic illnesses are hidden diseases that people just don't know what's going on in your body.
Yeah. To those who don't like Facebook, the groups are the one thing that actually is something that is a good thing.
Yeah, just go on to do the groups. They're so supportive.
See, in addition to writing, do you have any other creative outlets that you or practices that help you navigate life's ups and downs?
I love essential oils, so I make essential oil blends and sprays. I have a few local small businesses that sell them, so that's me being a little chemist. I also make bracelets and earrings. Unfortunately, depending on my tremors in my hands, depends on whether or not I am able to bead the bracelets, but it's something hands-on, something physical I can touch. Because when you're a writer, it's either you're writing, I write all over the place, but you're either writing with a pen or you're on a computer, and I don't know, it just gives me a different creative outlet. I mean, I love to garden when we're in season and stuff. I love to go walk the dog or go for walks when I can. Again, it's all dependent on the day and how I physically am.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to be able to walk the dog for a half hour, or maybe it's 10 or 15 minutes, maybe it's flat, maybe I can add a little hill. But being out in nature is a must for me.
Mm-hmm.
I need that. I thrive on that. And, but yeah, I love my little essential oil blends. I like, it's my little chemistry. I play with different scents and come up with different blends. Like right now I did an allergy blend because we're in spring season here in the Northeast and allergies are kicking up. I have a sleep spray to put on your bed pillow or yourself. It has chamomile and lavender and eucalyptus. So it's just something I enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get to, my daughter's a senior this year. And so my son's already at college, but my daughter being a senior and she's going to be going off, and kind of just get to, like, I'm present for her.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
It's going to be hard knowing that you're going to have to, she's going to be leaving the nest, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I keep telling her I'm gonna follow her and get a little apartment in the town so I can just go and visit.
Yeah.
Like, I'll go and write and out, but of course I'm not gonna. But that'll be another challenge because our house will be a lot quieter,
So you'd make it easier for you to write anyway.
Well, that's true too. That is true.
So can you tell us how? Let's see. Can you tell us about a particular meaningful poem from your collection and the story of emotion and the story of emotion behind it?
Yeah, well, I kind of already did with the Costa Rica story, but I would love to share. I'll share the poem I wrote, I Am Not My Disease, when I was in Costa Rica. And then I do have something to share after, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I am not my disease, not the chains wrapped around me, not the tremors in my hands or the ache in my knees. I am not the fatigue or the headaches, and not the endless fog. I am not my disease. I am a warrior, a conqueror. I persevere each day. I wake up, sit up, put my 2 feet on the floor. My body screams, but I am not my inability. The self-pity or the stares saying it can't be all that bad. I ache, I move, I stretch, I collapse, I pick myself up. Through it all, I am not my disease. And I think that's just important. We just have to remember to pick ourselves back up on those, moments that are tough. And the last night that I was in Costa Rica, we had like a big family dinner. And I had written that poem, and I shared it with all of the other attendees at the table. And we were kind of going around and just like sharing what the experience had been like and whatnot and takeaways, and everyone had something different. And it took me getting out of my everyday life and all that this was consuming me because of the doctor appointments and I was in physical therapy at the time and going to get another prescription or whatever. It took me being able to leave and get out of this situation and go someplace. And I was fortunate to do it. I was there for 4 days, yeah. So it wasn't a long time, but it was still just enough for me to realize that my disease does not have to define me. It's a part of me. It's one part of me. Mm-hmm. And so I remember being at this table as everyone's going around and sharing that experience and being able to share my poem and say that to all of the people there, like, I appreciate you all and for being here, because I can take that back with me now and go into the next part of learning to live this way. And we had, like, I had a whole treatment plan we were starting when I got back, and knowing that I'm not my disease and it doesn't have to define me, and I can find more purpose in my life than just another doctor visit, you know?
Yeah. Looking ahead, what are your hopes and aspirations for the future, both personally and professionally?
Personally, I mean, I'm just hoping we can get the medication figured out. That would be wonderful. I do have to go back into physical therapy for my knees, but whatever. I'm okay with it. Whatever. Just whatever is going to keep my quality. Personally, I just want to keep my quality of life good. So whatever I have to do for my quality of life, you know, and again, my father deals with this too. So seeing how he's persevered over the years through it has inspired me. You know, because his hands and his knees are horrible, but if he has a good day, he puts his boat in the water and goes out fishing. If his knees aren't good, but his hands are good, he'll just fish from the shore. Like, still finding those moments of joy, or again, having grace and just staying at home with the ice packs on your knees. But yeah, I think for me, professionally, it's still not known. I do want to continue to write. I've already been told I can't go back into the classroom. So I don't know if this is just life or the universe saying this is the next chapter for you. You know, so I'm kind of, and I keep saying it, and it's true, I'm embracing the journey. I'm embracing the journey. And I'm just going to see where it leads me. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, is just embracing the journey, taking it each day. You know, last week I didn't know I was going to have to go back into physical therapy. This week, because I saw my orthopedist, now I'm going back into physical therapy, but that's okay. It's going to improve my quality of life. And whatever I can do to keep doing that, I'm going to keep doing, you know.
Oh.
I'm not ready. And I told this, like, I think I said it to every one of my doctors on my team, like, I'm not ready to throw the towel in yet. I'm not ready. I'm like,
yeah,
what do I have to do? I'm like, I just got to keep getting out there and putting my feet down on the floor.
So Wendy, your journey is nothing short of inspiring. From the challenges you faced to the creative avenues you explored, your resilience and passion shine through. Your story serves as a powerful reminder that even the darkest moments, there is always opportunity for growth and creativity and connection. As we come to a close, as we come to an end of our conversation, I want to extend my deepest gratitude to you, Wendy, for sharing your story with us. Your openness and vulnerability have touched us all, and I have no doubt that your words will continue to resonate with the listeners long after this episode ends. To our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey. I hope that Wendy's story has inspired you to as much as it has inspired me. Remember, no matter what your challenge in life throws your way, there is always a potential for beauty, growth, and love. Be sure to check out Wendy's book, Kiss You Love Goodbye, and explore the depths of poetry. And until next time, remember to cherish the rare connection that makes life truly extraordinary.
Thank you, Joanna. That was beautiful.
Yeah, thanks.
I really enjoyed our conversation. And I have to look up what you said about there being a tie between celiac and psoriatic arthritis. I mean,
I linked an article on the Facebook. I put if you I don't know if you ever look at my wall.
Okay, I won't.
I did share the advertisement for this one.
Okay.
This morning, like a few hours ago.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I will definitely. I'll go on after we finish and take a look at it, because I mean it's all autoimmune, obviously. It's
yeah.
Yeah, and
yeah. Look at the cooking side of my channel. Also, there are some gluten-free recipes on there too.
Oh, good. Oh, okay. Very nice. Always looking for new ones because I feel like I get in a rut.
Yeah.
Do you know how that happens? You just get in a rut where you're just like, okay, I cannot eat this again. I need something new. That's why I'm very grateful for Pinterest, because there'll be times where I'm like, I just need to find out something else to do with this chicken or whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me. It was so nice.
Thank you.
All right. Well, you take care, and I look forward to following you and good at recipes.
Yeah.
All right. Take care.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.